Hello and welcome to Casual Buddhism. I'm your host, Cindy Rasicot, and I'm joined, as I always am, with Venerable Dhammananda Pikani, and she is, of course, the first fully ordained Theravada nun in Thailand. I'm always so thrilled to be able to speak to her, and I've gotten such good feedback from people about seeing these conversations, Venerable, so I just wanted to let you know that. I did want to say I have a new book coming out about Venerable Dhammananda. It's This Fresh Existence, Heart Teachings from Bhikkhuni Dhammananda. That's published by Windhorse in April, and I'm quite excited about it. You can learn more about it by looking on my website, cindyrasico.com. So tonight, what I thought we'd talk about, well, actually it's morning for you, is I know that a central question for all newcomers to Buddhism is, how do I find a teacher? And I was very lucky because I didn't move to Thailand looking to find a teacher, but in fact, that's what happened. And it happened kind of serendipitously. We met at a conference. It was a women's conference. And I heard you speak about the futility of anger and the importance of loving kindness and compassion. And it occurred to me, in my experience, that when the student is ready, the teacher appears, because I didn't consciously go looking for you. But I was just curious if you have an opinion. What advice would you give, if any, to people who are looking for a teacher?
You know, I think it's very important for any students to start asking questions. Only when questions start arising in your mind, in your heart, then you will search. Then you will start searching. But if, they come and stay with me and there is no question whatsoever, you cannot bring the teacher out of me.
Oh, interesting. Yes. In other words, a person who has a seeking, questioning mind and is curious will draw the teacher out of you.
Yes.
Yeah, because you are a teacher for sure.
As I sit with them, I always ask them, do you have any questions? Please guide me. Please guide me along, because I need questions to lead me. Even now when I take international audience, students coming to see our temple, they have seen the temple. We show them the temple, and then they would have an audience with me. So I always ask them, or always ask the person who actually guide the group, to please guide me with their questions. Because, it is no good for me to start talking about something up in the cloud, which interests me only. It needs to come from the audience. What is their interest? Only then I know from whatever level they ask. And I feel comfortable taking questions. And I think that is my, my unique point, my unique quality about myself, that I enjoy taking in questions, just impromptu. I am not good at preparing speech.
Right.
I am not good at preparing official speech, but I am better answering questions impromptu.
Yes. And I was just curious, with your spiritual mentors and teachers, who were, well, maybe some of them are still alive, but who were your spiritual mentors and teachers? And how would you kind of describe your relationship to them?
My very first teacher would be my mother. As I sat with her when I was 10 years old, when she started to be activist in the Buddhist circle, she would have guests, she would have visitors coming to talk about Buddhism, to talk about Buddhist teaching, and I would be just sitting on her side, fanning her. We didn't have electric fan, so I was just fanning her like that, and listening to their conversation. That was the very first implant of Buddhist teaching. through my relationship with my mother. She never sit me down and talk to me about Dharma, but because of that function, so I listened to her teaching through my childhood, getting digested at times and not digested at times. And then when I grow much older, you know, I was already working as a professor, I would always come back to the temple to just simply be volunteers, you know, but at the same time, again, listening to the teaching of my mother when she gave Sunday teaching. Yes.
The Dharma teaching. Yes.
She's my very first teacher. And then, because she writes a lot, she brought out a monthly magazine. And I was 10 years old, 11 years old. I was doing the proofreading, the magazine. So that was how I have to read. I have to read Dharma teaching from her, listening and at the same time reading by proofreading the magazine. So that's how I grew up. Right. And I formed my Buddhist understanding until much later, you know, when I actually start studying Buddhism at a university level, much later, then I learned Buddhist texts, read Buddhist texts. But my forming years was with my mother.
Now, I have to say personally, you have been so important to me and such a rich, wise teacher for me. And I feel very lucky and grateful in that sense. Was there anyone who, I'm sure your mother was, I mean, you were kind of born into that with your mother.
Yes. Yes.
It was kind of automatic. Was there any teacher that you recall being, maybe when you were younger, really inspired by or touched by?
Yes. Then comes the next one is Jokun Promuni. Jokun Promuni was my preceptor. You know, she was my mother's preceptor. The year was something like 1956. That year, my mother started her monastic life, and the year which followed that, Buddhist era was 2500. 1 year later, I myself also took ordination under him. And the kind of Buddhist teaching that he was speaking was over my head. You know, I was only 11 years old, but the way I see him as my teacher is the way he appears, you know, the way he talks.
Yes.
Just his physical body.
Yes.
Taught me a lot. He was simple, he was calm, he was always serene. And that was such a moving thing when you think about it, that you really have such a great teacher. And later on, now that I'm getting old, we discovered his book, his book which somebody printed for him. It is his Dharma teaching. And I consider that the best Dharma book, because it was simple because he was speaking. They have recorded and they have transcribed it and published in a book form. So I would consider him seriously my Dharma teacher.
Thank you. Yes. I would say one last thing we can bring this to a close in a minute, but one thing I always felt from you, which was kind of, I don't want to use the word intuitive, I think it was wisdom. You seem to know what I needed to hear at the time I needed to hear it. And I don't know quite how to define that, but there was times when I was struggling with depression or despair, and you would say things to me like, yes, you're blocked. You cannot see. You need to open your mind and look around and see the beauty in the world. But I was always amazed that you are able to do that. And I think you have ability with other people I've seen you be with too. And I'm wondering if that comes from your sense of being so in the now, so in the present, so mindful, that you maybe pick up on people, what they need. Can you talk to
Yeah,
that?
I think it's perceptive. You know, you have to be perceptive. You have to be perceptive of your audience. You know, you may not say a word, but the way you look through your eyes, you know, there must be something that is troubling you, and I need to kind of help you to ease up that kind of mental block, you know. So
Yes.
often it happens like that, and simply sometimes I feel that particularly being a woman, we have been kept away from the monks, you know. But now that as a bhikkhuni, sometimes I could reach out to you, I could hold your hand, and that speaks more than words.
So too. Yes. Thank you. I think we'll bring it to a close there. It's so lovely to see you, and you look very well. Thank you for being here with us again, and have a good day.
Yes, all of us, all of
Oh,
you,
yes.
looking at this program, be joyful and be in this happy moment. This moment is a joyful moment. Thank you.
So.